Okay, we are not having the smoothest start to our trip in St. Augustine. It's Saturday morning, our first morning here, and it is so cold. And I know that we say that a lot, and a lot of you make fun of us because our version of cold is not the same. But it is 41 degrees, and we do have warm clothes for the kids, but we don't have mittens. And so our son's hands are ice cold. We walked like one block going from our Airbnb to get to downtown. We're across the Bridge of Lions, so it's like a little bit of a walk. It's about a half a mile. Anyway, so we were a block into that, and his hand, like, we could not do it. Like, his hands were just so cold. Our daughter was fine because she's in her infant seat, and we just like bundle her up, but it's just so freaking cold. And so everything that we had like kind of planned to do was downtown St. Augustine. So I don't know what that means for our trip. I don't know if that means that like we're not, I don't know, we'll do something, but I don't know what that's going to be. We're getting coffee now, and we're getting coffee on the beach at the Kookaburra. There's a few different locations, and we were going to go to the Kookaburra in the historic district, like downtown area, but once we got too cold and turned around, parking there can be kind of challenging, so we didn't even try it. We just kind of drove the beach down to this location. While we wait for our coffee, though, I can tell you about the Kookaburra, and hopefully I'm saying that right. It feels weird coming off the tongue, but I got the mocha nut, which is chocolate and coconut in a latte, and they have a walk-up window at this location. Again, we're at the beach, so I can't speak to downtown. I'm sure that we will get to the downtown area at some point, and I can show you both. It is Australian coffee, which is interesting, so I'm excited to try that. They also have some unique options for lunch and dinner, some like pies that I'm not familiar with. I don't know a lot about Australia or Australian food, and so that'll be exciting to try their coffee and some of their specialty like breakfast items, because we're here for breakfast. So yeah, ultimately takeaways that it is on the beach. You can take it to go. There's a few different locations. My understanding is that locals really like this coffee shop, and if you're coming to the beach location, parking is tight.
Going to be an actual pie, but it's a real pie.
What's
in
it?
Pot pie.
What did you order?
Bacon, egg, and cheese, and I think scallions maybe.
Interesting.
Looks really good.
Try
though.
it smells good.
Oh yeah.
And let's see, here's my coffee. Haven't tried it yet. Do you want to try your coffee quick?
Oh yeah.
What'd you get? Did you get that turbo
I got
one?
the diesel's what it's called, just because it's like I'm just really manly or whatever, but also
While you're getting that, oh sorry, go ahead.
all right,
Also,
yeah, wow, it is really strong. You can definitely tell, but smooth, not like super bitter or anything. It's really good.
I was gonna show you our back seat situation here.
Just asleep children. Take a little pocket and just like dig into it. Oh, it looks good. Yeah, it's just like a little pot pie.
This is kind of stressing me out.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you think it is.
We ended up getting really lucky because the sun came out and made it feel much warmer than it actually was. So we headed over to the most popular place to visit in St. Augustine, which is the historic district. So let's talk about parking in St. Augustine. Obviously, if you are staying in the historic district, you're going to be able to walk to most places that you want to get to in St. Augustine. We were staying, like I said, just across the Bridge of Lions, so it was a decent walk, and we weren't able to do that with how cold it was and the wind blew across the bridge. That's not a problem very often in St. Augustine. It's usually very hot, but it was when we were there. So we did need to find parking. We've actually been to St. Augustine a number of times, and we've needed to park in the downtown historic district every time. We've never had a hard time finding parking, but if you are there on busy days like spring break or during a holiday, then you're definitely going to want to get there early. I am going to also link, there's a newer website that you can go to look and see how much parking is available in real time. I've heard it can be a little glitchy, it can be like a little bit off as to be expected, but for the most part, it's really accurate. So I will link that in the description if you want to just use that for your trip if you are parking. We actually wanted a second coffee, so the first stop that we had in the historic district was at Crucial Coffee. This is probably the cutest coffee shop that we went to while we were there. It looks like a really historic building, which adds to just the old city vibes of St. Augustine. So we grabbed a coffee to go. It's a perfect place to grab a coffee to go. They do share a garden area with their neighbor next door. It's located right in the historic district, so whether you're going to the monument or whether you're going to wander around, you're going to cross it at some point, and it's a really just cute spot that feels really authentic to the historic nature of St. Augustine.
I've never seen you before.
I've been up in Massachusetts. I'm at the college.
Oh, okay.
So,
Is it Carmichael
up there?
yeah, I'm transferred.
You come back down here?
No, I'm saying I'm at college flag before. I live in Mass.
Oh, we're transferring up.
We spent the majority of our morning wandering St. George Street. That is one of the main roads in St. Augustine's historic district. You're going to find historic places that you can see. We visited the oldest schoolhouse, which I'll show you. There's some other museums as well, but there's also tons of restaurants, a few bars, shops, just a bunch of things to do. It's definitely worth checking out. You can spend as much or as little time there as you would like to. Like I said, we spent the whole morning, so probably like 3 hours, but you could easily spend all day there, especially if you want to do some sort of bar crawl or something like that. Or you can just walk through it and be really quick in, under a half an hour or so. So that's totally up to you, and also depending on how much time you have in St. Augustine.
Careful, it's got turf keepers. Roar. And at the end of St. George Street, or at the start of St. George Street, just depending on which way you're coming from, I suppose, you're going to find the Old City Gates. They were built in 1808, and these are the original old city gates from that time period. If you look really close, you can even see like the crushed up shell that they used to build them, which is really fascinating. They did protect St. Augustine back in the day, and they were the only way to get in and out of the city for a while.
We're at the oldest schoolhouse.
Oldest wooden
Schoolhouse, right. Very important. There's probably some brick ones that are older. It's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. They weren't, one thing about the early 1900s is they weren't really concerned about stroller use, and so this isn't like super stroller friendly, but it's really cool. You get like the old like woodworking tools and like how they built it. I guess like all the nails here were handmade somehow. Not somehow, I mean obviously all the nails at some point were handmade, right? But it's really cool. Building like leans and it's like really uneven floors and stuff.
Old.
It's really, really old.
And it's tiny. It's crazy what they used to go to school with.
Yeah, no, it's pretty sweet. But there's like a children's dungeon that like they used to like throw the bad kids in, and then there's like a dunce cap kid in there. It's pretty wild. They're not like sheltering you from what school was like in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It's pretty neat though. They have like this big courtyard here that you see. I assume this was like kind of like a little kids play area at some point for children to like have recess or lunch at some point. But right now it's just like kind of a courtyard. They got statues and stuff and like different exhibits. The outhouse is over there.
Yeah, the outhouse is over there.
Yeah.
It'd be so cold in the winter to like walk in the outhouse, or like probably hot in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The smell would be bonkers. But yeah, it's pretty cool. We're learning a lot about just how they used to do stuff here, and it's crazy. Like the old wooden shingles on the roofs, and it's just really, really cool.
I think it's interesting how like we take it for granted. Like I don't know that I like loved school. It was fine. I did not like it. But like they worked really hard to be able to go to school back in the day. Like they really worked hard to be able to do it, and it was like such a privilege, I think. So that's kind of cool to see.
It seems like everyone went to school till they're like in 5th grade too, like
Probably.
and then they stopped.
They
but like
didn't.
either way, it's neat. I don't think there was like a 16-year-old kid going to school here. This seems like more like until you're like in 5th grade, then you go back and help out on the farm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's neat. It's really cool.
Now let's talk about the Tolomato Cemetery. And I apologize, I've tried so hard to say that right, but it just feels awkward. So the Tolomato Cemetery is only open on the 3rd Saturday of the month. I was stoked when I found out that that cemetery was open the weekend that we were there. They do have guided tours if you would like one, but if you want to do a self-guided tour, they also have handouts that you can take and kind of walk around and learn more about some of the grave sites and some of the history of the cemetery. The cemetery was used from the 18th century until 1884. And there's about 1,000 graves in there, which is crazy. It doesn't look like there could be that many in the cemetery, but there are, because it's a pretty small cemetery. But stay tuned because I'm actually working on a haunted St. Augustine video for October. So if you're interested in that, you can come back in October because this cemetery is said to be haunted.
The earliest. This is the vault of Elizabeth Brewster. Died in 1798 at the age of 16.
After visiting the cemetery, we needed lunch, so we headed just across the street to Mojo's Barbecue. It was a perfect stop for lunch. We were starving, and so they were just like really quick, really fast, and the barbecue was incredible. It was so good. I can see why they are so highly recommended. It might not seem like we had done much up until this point, but we really had, like, especially spending 3 hours on St. George Street and then the cemetery, we had done a lot of walking. And we loved our lunch. It was so good. St. Augustine really is a foodie's paradise if you want it to be. So this was a good start to the trip food-wise.
Go right there. Can you do that?
Oh.
After lunch, we thought for sure we'd need to go back to the Airbnb for nap time, but actually everyone was feeling good, so we propped up just against the Castillo de San Marcos and hung out there. We have been inside the monument before, but since we've done it before, we decided to skip it this time. It's definitely one of the best things to do in St. Augustine, and it's probably the #1 most visited place in St. Augustine as well. I can vouch that it's absolutely worth visiting. We just didn't feel like we needed to do it again on this trip, and we just had the best hour or so posting up right in front of it anyways. Our son ended up taking some of his first steps in front of the monument, which is such an incredible place to do that. He had been taking some steps at home, but like he went full on walking that day. So this was actually the best part of the trip for both of us, for all of us. It was just like a fun family day. So if you have kids, I can highly recommend just setting out a blanket in front of the monument. Not only was it our favorite part of the trip, but all the families were really enjoying it. After spending the afternoon in front of the Castillo de San Marcos, we happened upon this store called Spinster Abbott's. Now, before I tell you what it is, this was so exciting. I feel like in this day and age, it's harder to find hidden gems, not because they don't exist, but because of blogs and Instagram and into TikTok. And I love that because I love that it's easy to find cool things to do, but it is so special to stumble upon things organically. And that's just so much harder to do these days, especially with how much planning and prep work I put into our trip. So the first thing you notice when you walk in is that it's a grocery store. They have some great grocery items, some unique items, but then as you walk through the store, on the right, there's kind of a vintage clothing store. And then on the left is almost this like secret bar, and they serve both alcohol and coffee. It was even kid friendly, and they had a really cool outdoor area. I was just so excited to find something on my own that I hadn't heard about. I don't know if it's newer, but this just felt like such a hidden gem, and it was just so fun. It was a good way to end like our morning in St. Augustine, because after this we did go back to the Airbnb. And that was like really the majority of our time in St. Augustine on this day. It was an amazing note to end on. Now, we did visit at the very end of January because St. Augustine is home to Night of Lights. If you're not familiar with Nights of Lights, I think it's Nights of Lights. Anyway, they have over 3 million Christmas lights, and this runs from November through the end of January. And so we thought it would be less busy if we went at the end of January. And it was, compared to being there in the middle of December, it gets crazy busy, but it was still very busy. I'm not going to show you too many videos of Nights of Lights because I'm airing this in March. You probably don't care about Christmas lights at this point, but we're going to do a full video and guide in December on the Nights of Lights and what to do, what to know, all of that.
Yeah, what is that?
Given away a couple spoilers on some videos to come out later this year, and if you want to see them, if they sound interesting, definitely hit that subscribe button because those are a ways away, but we do have some exciting content coming in the meantime. Sorry, I have some help here. And so our next video will be on part 2 of St. Augustine, so make sure that you subscribe so you can see that. Thank you for watching, and she would like you to hit that like button.
Here's a good example of early electric. This is where they ran it in for the school to have power, charge their laptops, phones, all sorts of things like that.
Would you remember what year that was?
Yeah, it was 1875. This one really is.
What?
This place is actually in real life.
Or like
Yeah, I don't know.
3
maybe
cars worth, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
And that whole green light.
We got 2 more lights to hit, and then we can go
Ooh,
to
let
the
me
bridge.
see that red. I'm filming. I don't know if you do that. I was trying to talk about the traffic.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So that is, our Airbnb is just across the Bridge of Lions.
Yeah.
Lions. And I mean, it's to be expected. Bad traffic is, you know, that's Florida, and we are in a very popular part of Florida where there's a lot of people walking, and it's a Saturday, and the weather's nice. Weather ended up being pretty nice, actually.
Yeah, it was like a real breezy 50, which was really, really nice out.
If we didn't have kids, that wouldn't be.
No, it wouldn't be too
cold
bad,
at all.
but yeah, kids are in strollers, they're not walking, their hands get cold, all that. Fun.